Rebecca. Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us today. Today I am joined by Council President Pro Tem Barbara Brie, Todd Lane, who is President and CEO of Cal Coast Credit Union, as well as Christina Bibler, who's the Economic Development Director for the City of San Diego. Earlier today, you heard from our county officials marking 43 new COVID-19 cases, bringing our total to 1,847. 2 new deaths have been reported since Saturday, putting us at 47 total for the county. A message to everyone. Thank you for continuing to do what you are doing to flatten the curve. We cannot let up. We cannot be complacent. We are working, all of us together, the City of San Diego, throughout the county, throughout the region, to save lives. So today I'd like to provide a few updates. First, an exciting announcement related to a new round of funding commitment to the San Diego Small Business Relief Fund. Second, our regular public safety update. Third, sharing why our city flags are flying at half staff today. And lastly, I'll be highlighting the work that San Diegans are doing to step up in this time of very great need. This public health crisis and this economic crisis have been linked from the start. My view has always been very clear. We need healthy people to have a healthy economy. And that's why together we have taken bold and comprehensive actions to slow the spread of this virus. And it appears, by working very closely, we are continuing to keep San Diegans safe. Experts now say that California may be approaching its apex this week. And of course, it appears that San Diego is following the same path. There is reason to be cautiously optimistic, but we must remain vigilant, because the last thing we want to do is squander the sacrifices that we have made together by permanently returning to a business as usual approach. We can't do that at this point. We do not yet know when we can return to a semblance of normalcy, but we do know that we have to begin planning for that in a way that continues to put public health first, because we cannot risk a surge in the virus spread down the road. My administration has been working to explore a coordinated, phased, and safe reopening of our community. It is something that we will do in conjunction with our public health officials, especially those at the County of San Diego. And I will be speaking to more of that in the coming days. And just as San Diego has led going into this crisis, we will lead coming out of it as well. But we are not waiting to help our small businesses while we are still in this difficult time. And really that's what today is all about. Today we are here to announce some very good news for small businesses looking for support during these turbulent times. And with the generous support of Cal Coast Credit Union, GoFundMe, Qualcomm, and San Diego Grantmakers, we're announcing a new partnership that will expand relief efforts to bring more monetary support to small businesses who are in need. Thousands of San Diegans run small businesses, and thousands of others are employed by our small businesses. In fact, more than 90% of small businesses are part of who we are in terms of San Diego, and they need our help now more than ever. And that's why I called for a creation of a multi-million-dollar relief fund to help small businesses facing this financial hardship. And with unanimous support from my colleagues on the San Diego City Council, we have allocated more than $6 million to be used for microloans and grants to give them the boost that they need. Small businesses can qualify for financial support to sustain operations, retain employees, and fulfill service orders. And this is money, of course, that they need now to survive this emergency and to keep our friends, our family, and our neighbors employed. And the demand has been absolutely overwhelming. More than 9,000 small business owners flooded the city's website in under 2 weeks to submit applications for this support. And assuming everyone who submitted an application qualifies, the demand, of course, far exceeds the funding that we have made available. And this speaks, I think, to how deeply our small local businesses need help and support from our community, from our city. We knew immediately that we needed to do more. And that's where our corporate partners, CalCoast Credit Union, Qualcomm, GoFundMe, and San Diego Grantmakers come in. Today we are launching a partnership to expand the relief fund and give San Diego corporate partners a way to help out. CalCoast, GoFundMe, and Qualcomm have each made an initial investment of $100,000. And CalCoast Cares Foundation is making its online giving platform available at no charge. So 100% of the money collected goes to eligible businesses in need. San Diego Grantmakers will evaluate unfunded grant applications and administer funds as the resources grow over time. And GoFundMe, an online giving platform founded right here in San Diego, will also amplify this initiative to increase awareness and encourage more giving. We know this is a difficult time, and we know that resources can be extremely limited for many, many people. And this fund allows anyone who wants to make a donation, big or small, to show their support for our local San Diego small businesses that are in need. And I will tell you, a lot of companies have already stepped up to help. Sweep is a small business with just 25 employees, has pledged $500 a month for an entire year. Chat Meter has pledged $1,000. And a donation as small as $5 or $10 can ensure our cherished businesses continue to thrive once COVID-19 is behind us. And that's what this is all about. We need to act now to help our community make ends meet during this time of very great need. So I stand committed to working together to find more ways to proactively grow this fund and support our great small San Diego businesses that are being impacted by COVID-19. But before I conclude, I would like to thank our partners for stepping up to really help launch this initiative. CalCoast Credit Union, GoFundMe, Qualcomm, San Diego Grantmakers, Sweep, Deloitte, and Chat Meter, as well as so many other individuals who will continue to fund this in the coming days and weeks. And finally, I want to recognize our Economic Development Director, Christina Bibler, and her team for everything that they are doing. Christina, I know you have several dozen employees that are working on this, dedicated to this effort. They're showing great hustle, great results, and thank you. Your entire team is really stepping up to serve our community. And now I'd like to take a moment to introduce Councilmember Barbara Brie, who is joining us virtually today's update from her home. Councilmember, thank you for all of your help and support, and thank you for joining us today.
Great.
Thank you for your continued help, support, and obviously advocacy for all of our small businesses throughout the entire city. Thank you, Barbara. I'd now like to introduce Todd Lane, who was president and CEO of Cal Coast Credit Union. And whether it was supporting our Women Leaders in March, our wellness programming for our employees, or take your child to Earth Day celebrations, Cal Coast really is a tremendous community partner and tremendous partner for the city of San Diego. Todd?
Thank you, Mayor. The City of San Diego has been a wonderful partner to California Coast Credit Union. I too have my thanks I'd like to share. First of all, thank you, Councilmember Brie. I know you're not here with us today, but thank you very much for your support. I'd like to thank you, Mayor Faulconer, and the City of San Diego for taking the very important lead on this Small Business Relief Fund. And thank you for your strong commitment to the small business community here in San Diego. Special thanks to Christina Bibler. Christina, with the City of San Diego, has worked so diligently in making this happen. Christina is the center post for this entire program, and thank you, Christina. I'd also like to thank Debbie McKeon from San Diego Grantmakers and a couple of folks on my team, Renee McKee and Jen Williams. They worked hand in glove with the city and San Diego Grantmakers in making this happen. And I'd like to, just reaffirm our shared commitment to helping the small businesses in our community. So California Coast also was a small business. So California Coast was founded nearly 91 years ago by 3 local teachers here in San Diego. And with just a few dollars of capital in hand, those teachers had a vision of improving the financial lives in the San Diego community. Their vision and hope was not unlike the hope that many small businesses have that we are here today to help. Now, California Coast has grown to over 200,000 members here in San Diego and Riverside County and $3 billion in assets, but we remain true to our small business principles. With our roots as a small business, we believe that we have an obligation to help ensure a thriving small business environment here in San Diego. For California Coast Credit Union, as the financial partner for the City of San Diego, we are proud to help with this small business relief program by offering our foundation, the Cal Coast Cares Foundation, to receive the donations and distribute funds to small businesses. Now, regarding the fundraising, California Coast is very proud to make the first official donation to the San Diego Small Business Relief Fund. And on behalf of our members, our board of directors, and our great employees, I'm proud to present you with a check in the amount of $100,000. And that's right here. We look forward to seeing other companies join us in donating to this fund and helping our small local businesses. Again, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Christina. And thank you, San Diego Grantmakers and the other partners in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you for your leadership. It's now my pleasure to introduce the city's Economic Development Director, whose name you've heard a couple times here, who and her team have been working very, very hard on behalf of our small businesses, Christina Bibler. Christina?
Thank you, Mayor. Many of you have asked me directly, how can you assist? Well, this is your opportunity. Beyond the $6.1 million that my team has been able to work diligently with small businesses, we've heard so many both heartwarming and heartbreaking stories of what the impact of COVID-19 has done to the small business community. So we ask that you would go to our resource page, that you would talk to my team and have discussions about how you can contribute. In addition to those businesses that have applied, our partners at Cal Coast Foundation through the San Diego Grantmakers will receive those unfunded applicants, and for those that are qualified, we'll be able to go through this program for evaluation of eligibility. A couple of differences I want to make sure that you're aware of if you're a small business listening. Some of those eligibility criteria have expanded beyond the federal funding that we were initially promoting. So I want you to know that we will be extending the application deadline through tomorrow at midnight. So if you have not had a chance to apply, I encourage you to go onto the city's website, Small Business Relief Fund, so that you can get your application in. And with that, I want to also share my email address, so I hope you have your PIN. It's at sdbusiness@sandiego.gov, and my team stands ready to answer any questions that you have. Thank you, Mayor, and thanks again to Cal Coast Cares Foundation, Cal Coast Credit Union, San Diego Grant Makers, and all the contributors that have gotten us to where we are today.
Christina, thank you very much. Now I'll turn to our regular update on public safety. At this time, we have no new positive tests to report from our public safety officials. As I think everyone knows, our public safety work, of course, never stops. Over this past week, we received almost nearly 5 inches of rain in certain parts of San Diego, including 2 inches in the last 24 hours. And as you can imagine, this amount of rainfall led to a rise in the San Diego River, and some areas close to over 12 feet. And it resulted in our swift water rescue teams receiving several calls for service related to the flooding over the weekend. In total, 9 people, including some pets, were rescued, and rescued because they needed immediate help. In addition, our lifeguard division, along with the San Diego Police Department, worked to evacuate 80 people from the River Leaf Inn. And these early evacuation efforts that they helped do that, I can't say enough about that action beforehand, because by the end of the day, that motel had flooded as the result of the heavy rains. And now all of those approximately 80 folks that were in that hotel are safe and sound. I mention this because our public safety professionals, of course, are out there working night and day in some of the most aggressive weather to keep us all safe, particularly during this pandemic. I want to thank all of them for their continued help and their support. And we as San Diegans can continue to do our part to keep them safe. I remember that they go to work for us, so we stay at home for them. Keep it up, all of you. Next, I'd like to provide an update regarding flying our flags at half-staff on city buildings today. This weekend, as I think all of us know, our nation passed the unfortunate milestone of more than 20,000 Americans who have succumbed to this virus. New York, in particular, has been heaviest hit, recording the most deaths of any state in the Union. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has described the impact, of course, as the worst, even worse than the terror impacts of September 11th, 2001, and as a result, had the state lower its flags to half-staff. That's why I directed a small gesture, but an important one, for us here, for all City of San Diego, municipal buildings and facilities, for our flags to be flown at half-staff for the day. We are doing this in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in New York, and to pay tribute to every American, Californian, and San Diegan who has fallen to COVID-19. The sudden passing, of course, of so many American lives from this disease is really unparalleled in modern history. And it serves as a stark reminder that each of us must continue to do everything that we can as a community to flatten the curve, to stop the spread of this virus. And then finally today, in a continued effort to highlight San Diegans stepping up in this great time of need, we've talked a lot this afternoon, and rightfully so, about the importance of our small businesses. Many are adapting to this crisis by helping out in many different ways. And while we continue to ask folks to stay home and practice social distancing, San Diego's iconic craft brewing industry has found a way to also stand strong. Forced to close their tasting rooms, many breweries have shifted to pickup and delivery only. One local brewery, however, stepped up even further. Modern Times is an employee-owned business with nearly 300 staff at locations in Point Loma and North Park. In normal times, Modern Times tasting rooms serve coffee and pastries alongside their great craft brew selections. And Chris, who is the president of Modern Times, saw how hard the doctors and nurses and other hospital staff have really been working night and day over the past month. So Modern Times decided to provide coffee and pastries to these workers as they get ready for their day-long shifts each day. And so far, Chris and all the employees at Modern Times have donated more than $7,000 in coffee and pastries to our local hospital staff. Thank you, Chris, and to all of the employee co-owners of Modern Times for standing strong and supporting San Diegans. I share this because this is just one story of many cases of San Diegans stepping up to help one another through these difficult times. Because when we get through this, and we will, it will be because we stood together as one community. So if you see a San Diegan stepping up, please share it with us and use the hashtag San Diego Steps Up. And with that, I will conclude and take any questions from members of the media. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. This is Jeff McAdam, Fox 5.
Hello,
I have a
Jeff.
question for you. Looking at the small, hey there, Mayor. Looking at the small relief funds, the private donations, is the city essentially acting as somebody who can facilitate getting those donations from point A to point B, being the small businesses? And out of the 9,000 small businesses that have already applied, will the funds be distributed evenly, or how will it work?
Great question. Christina, I'll have you come over and answer a few specifics on the program. Thank you.
So thank you for the question. So actually, the funds will go directly to either through the GoFundMe site or through CalCOS Cares Foundation to San Diego Grantmakers, who has the criteria, the enhanced criteria that allows for more San Diego businesses to participate. They will have that on their website. We have also changed a little bit on our website, and through that, they will do the vetting process through their staff. So as far as the city being a conduit, those applications will be provided to San Diego Grantmakers for the businesses that were not funded or did not qualify for a variety of reasons to be the application process that they'll be going through.
Any other questions from members of the media? Terrific. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you to our partners, all of our corporate partners helping out San
I know that we're
Diego
having
small
some tech.
businesses in need. And with that, we will conclude today's briefing. Thank you very much.